Chris is sitting on your couch asking to borrow $2,700. 10 years ago, he made the same salary you did. Same job, same company, same starting line. Everybody thought he was pulling ahead. The Tesla Model 3, the nicer apartment, the promotions that sounded good at dinner. You looked like the one falling behind. But tonight, you say yes without checking your account. That is the whole difference. Not income, not luck, not some genius investment. One quiet decision at 24 changed the next 10 years of your life, and nobody noticed because it looked like nothing. By the end of this story, you will know exactly what that decision was, why Chris missed it, and why escaping the rat race usually looks like losing before it looks like freedom. To see it, you have to go back 10 years. Chapter 1. The first paycheck lied to you. You are 24. Your first real job is at a mid-sized healthcare billing company outside Phoenix, Arizona. Nothing glamorous. Revenue operations, spreadsheets, claim status reports, status calls, provider emails, the kind of work that sounds more important on LinkedIn than it feels at 3:17 on a Tuesday afternoon. Your salary is $58,500 a year before taxes. After federal taxes, payroll taxes, state taxes, health insurance, and a modest 401k contribution you barely understand, the money that actually lands in your checking account is much smaller. Not poverty, not luxury. Just that strange middle zone where you are technically doing fine, but one bad month can still knock the air out of you. Every other Friday, the deposit hits. For a few hours, your life feels organized. Then rent comes out. Car insurance, student loan payment, phone bill, groceries, gas. A few subscriptions you forgot were still active. Lunches near the office because you were too tired to pack anything. A birthday dinner, a wedding gift, a tire rotation. Something always arrives. By the next Tuesday, the paycheck already feels like a memory. You are not reckless. That is what makes the trap so hard to see. You are not buying yachts or gambling or ordering champagne in nightclubs. You are buying the normal things adults buy when they are trying to become the version of themselves they were told to become. A better apartment because the old one had thin walls. A reliable car because being stranded on the highway is not character development. A phone that works. Decent clothes for the office. A few dinners out because life cannot only be bills and fluorescent lights. Each choice makes sense by itself. Together, they quietly eat the future. Chris sees the same first paycheck and reads it as permission. He leases a white Tesla Model 3, used but clean enough to look new from across the parking lot. The payment is painful, but not impossible, and that is exactly how expensive decisions sneak in. They do not ask, "Can this help you become free?" They ask, "Can you technically afford the monthly payment?" Chris can. So, Chris signs. The next Monday, two coworkers walk over before he even gets inside the building. They circle the car. They ask about the range, the screen, the deal he got. Chris leans against the door like a man who has arrived somewhere. You park your old Mazda 3, 2 rows away. Nobody walks over. Nobody asks what you are building, because at that point, you are not building anything yet. You are just surviving in a way that looks responsible from the outside and fragile from the inside. Chapter 2. The office that shrinks your life. The first year passes like that. You learn the software, you learn the office language, you learn which meetings matter, and which meetings are just people proving they are busy. You learn that quick question from your manager almost never means quick. You learn to answer emails with sentences that sound polite enough to hide exhaustion. On Fridays, people smile more. On Sundays, around 4 in the afternoon, something tightens in your chest. Nobody teaches you that dread in orientation. They just hand you a badge and let you discover it. Then, in March of your second year, you get a raise. $5,200 a year. For about a week, it feels like your life has changed. You open your calculator. You imagine breathing room. You imagine finally getting ahead. But a raise does not automatically become freedom. Most of the time, a raise becomes a slightly nicer version of the same cage. Your rent goes up when you move to a cleaner building with in-unit laundry. Your grocery cart gets less careful. You replace the laptop that still worked but felt slow. You say yes to more dinners because saying no every time makes you feel small. 6 months later, the raise is gone, not wasted, absorbed. That is the consumption trap. It is not one stupid purchase. It is the quiet expansion of your life, until every new dollar has a job before you ever meet it. And the reason it works so well is that everyone around you is doing the same thing. The upgraded apartment is normal. The newer car is normal. The credit card balance that will be paid off soon is normal. The little panic before payday is normal. The jokes about being broke after brunch are normal. Normal is not the same as harmless. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Household Economics and Decision-Making, in the latest reported data, only about 63% of United States adults said they could cover a $400 emergency with cash or its equivalent. That means a large share of people are living close enough to the edge that a basic car repair can become a crisis. Bankrate's 2026 Emergency Savings Report found something just as uncomfortable. Only about 47% of Americans said they had enough liquidity or access to funds for a $1,000 emergency, and nearly 1 in 4 reported having no emergency savings at all. These numbers are not here to shame anybody. They are here because the edge is crowded. And when the edge is crowded, it starts to feel like a neighborhood. Chapter 3. The Trap That Feels Like Progress. One Tuesday evening, after your bonus lands, you expect to feel relief. It is $1,500 before taxes. A nice surprise. The kind of money that should make the week feel lighter. But you stare at the number and feel almost nothing. Because somewhere in your body you understand the pattern now. This money will arrive, then life will absorb it. Then you will wait for the next raise, the next bonus, the next little permission slip to feel okay. That night, you do a different kind of math. Not this month's math, life math. If nothing changes, you will repeat this for decades. Wake up tired. Trade your best hours for money. Spend most of the money to recover from the life required to earn it. Call that adulthood. Then hope retirement arrives before your energy disappears completely. The thought does not scare you at first. It empties you. The next morning, you notice Susan. Susan works in patient account audits. In her late 50s, quiet, never rushed. Drives a 12-year-old Subaru Outback. Brings lunch in the same blue container every day. When executives walk through the office, Susan does not perform anxiety for them. She just keeps doing her work. You catch her in the break room and ask, half joking, how she stays so calm. She looks at you for a second, like she is deciding whether you are ready for the answer. Then she says, most people spend their lives trying to look like they made it. Very few ask what actually making it would feel like. Then she rinses her mug and leaves. You stand there longer than you need to. That sentence follows you home. That night, you open your laptop and add up everything you own. Checking account, savings account, 401k, balance, old savings bonds from your aunt, the cash in your nightstand. Then you subtract what you owe, student loans, credit card balance, remaining car loan. The number is not impressive. It is barely positive. But for the first time, you are looking directly at the truth instead of the vibe. And the truth gives you a place to begin. You make one rule. From now on, every payday, the first bill you pay is the future version of yourself, not whatever is left. First, you open the Human Resources portal and read the benefits page everyone ignored. The company matches 401k contributions up to 4% of salary, dollar for dollar. Not magic, not a secret, just a door sitting in plain sight with boring language around it. You increase your contribution enough to capture the full match. Then you open a Roth IRA and set an automatic transfer for $200 every payday into a low-cost total market index fund. You also move your small emergency savings into a high-yield savings account because money sitting still does not have to sit dead. None of this feels heroic. No music plays. No one texts congratulations. You just click confirm and sit in the glow of your laptop, wondering if this tiny invisible thing can really matter. Chapter 4. The Invisible Floor. Here is why it matters. Most people organize their money in this order: earn, spend, react, then save if anything survives. But whatever survives usually does not survive, so you flip the order: earn, save, and invest automatically. Then build the rest of your life around what remains. That does not mean everyone can save the same percentage. A single parent in Phoenix, a new graduate in Boston, and a family of 4 in rural Kentucky are not living inside the same math. Taxes, rent, health insurance, childcare, debt, and family responsibilities all change the picture. But the principle still matters. The money that moves first has a chance to become your floor. The money that waits until the end of the month usually becomes a receipt. At 26, Chris looks like he is winning. He has moved into a nicer apartment with a gym in the building. His Tesla has ceramic tint and black wheels. He knows a restaurant where the server remembers his name. When people ask what is new, Chris has answers that photograph well. You are still in the same apartment. You still drive the Mazda 3. The left side of the dashboard rattles when the weather is cold. At a friend's birthday dinner, the table turns into a scoreboard. Somebody got promoted. Somebody bought a condo. Somebody is going to San Diego for 2 weeks. Chris talks about maybe upgrading again because he deserves something fun. Then the question reaches you. What about you? What's next? You say work is fine. You say you are keeping things simple. People nod politely and move on. It hurts more than you expected. Because for years, progress meant having something to announce. A title, a car, a move, a trip, a visible upgrade. Now your progress happens before sunrise. Inside accounts nobody sees. Through transfers, nobody applauds. There is no social reward for not buying the thing. There is no group chat celebration for reading the 401k match policy. Nobody asks about your Roth IRA. Nobody noticed. Chapter 5. The pain of looking poor. And that is when the real test begins. Not the math test. The identity test. Because once you stop buying proof, you have to live without proof for a while. You have to be okay looking less successful than you are. You have to let people misunderstand the quiet. You have to let your old self feel deprived while your future self is finally being fed. This is where most financial advice sounds too clean. It says, spend less than you earn. True. It says, invest consistently. Also, true. But it often skips the hard part. You still have to be a human being while doing it. You still want respect. You still want beauty. You still want a life that feels like more than discipline. You still want to walk into a room and feel like your years are adding up to something people can see. So you create a second rule. You will not cut everything. You will cut the things that only buy applause and protect the things that give your life oxygen. You keep the Friday dinner with your sister twice a month. You cancel 3 subscriptions you barely use. You buy a coffee maker and stop spending $6 every workday because you are too tired to think in the morning. You bring lunch 4 days a week, not 7, because perfection has a way of turning into rebellion. You start tracking your spending, not like a punishment, but like turning on the lights. The first month surprises you. $120 on coffee, $90 on delivery fees, $45 on apps you forgot existed. Small leaks. Nothing dramatic. But small leaks can sink a paycheck when they happen every month. Within 3 months, your automatic saving and investing goes from about $350 a month to almost $900. That number is character specific. It is not a promise. It is not a formula for everybody. But it shows the point. The first dollars of freedom often come from noticing what your life already agreed to without asking you. Chapter 6. The side door opens quietly. At 27, you find the side door. It starts because your neighbor is moving and leaves a wooden desk near the dumpster. Not antique, not fancy, just solid. You look at it and see scratches, bad drawer pulls, and potential. You ask if you can take it. That weekend, you sand it in your parents' garage. You stain the top, replace the hardware, take photos in natural light, and list it online. You sell it for $240. After supplies, the profit is not life-changing, but something in you wakes up. For the first time in years, you made money from a decision that belonged completely to you. So you do it again. A nightstand from Facebook Marketplace, a set of dining chairs from an estate sale, a bookshelf with good bones and an ugly finish. Some flips fail. One dresser sits in your garage for 6 weeks and makes you question your taste, your pricing, and possibly your entire personality. But slowly, you learn. Photos matter. Timing matters. Description matters. Pickup convenience matters. People pay more when you reduce uncertainty. By the end of the year, the furniture flipping brings in $400 to $700 in a decent month. You do not quit your job. That is important. The fantasy version of escaping the rat race is dramatic. Storm out. Burn the badge. Announce your new life. The real version is quieter and less cinematic. You keep the job while it still funds the exit. You use the paycheck as scaffolding. You use the side income as acceleration. You use the investment accounts as the engine running in the background. This is how you build wealth without fireworks. Not because fireworks are bad, but because fireworks are usually expensive and over in 10 seconds. Around this time, you start doing small consulting projects too. Nothing flashy. You help a local furniture store rewrite product listings because you have learned what makes buyers click. You help a dental office organize appointment follow-up emails. You build a simple spreadsheet for a contractor who keeps losing track of estimates. The work is plain. The money is useful. The lesson is enormous. You are not just an employee. You are a person who can create value outside one employer's permission. That changes the way the office feels. Your manager still sends emails at 7:03 in the morning. The meetings still stretch. The fluorescent lights still flatten the day. But now the job is not your entire sky. It is one income stream. One. That single word gives you room to breathe. Chapter 7. Give every dollar a job. Around this point, you also stop thinking about money as one pile. One pile is too easy to lie to. If the checking account looks healthy, you feel rich for 3 days. If the market drops, you feel poor even though nothing about your rent, skills, or next paycheck has changed. So you split the money in your mind into 3 jobs. The first job is stability. That is the emergency fund, the boring cash, the money that does not try to impress anyone. It earns a reasonable yield when rates allow it, but its real return is sleep. It keeps a flat tire from becoming credit card debt. It keeps a delayed paycheck from becoming panic. The second job is growth. That is the 401k, the Roth IRA, the index fund, the part you do not touch just because the month feels annoying. This money is not there to make you feel wealthy today. It is there to quietly reduce the number of future years you have to trade under pressure. The third job is agency. That is money for skills, tools, small experiments, and the occasional thing that makes the present life human. A course that helps you earn more. Better sandpaper and hardware for the furniture flips. Dinner with someone you love. Not because every dollar must become a soldier marching toward retirement, but because a life with no agency right now eventually revolts against the plan. That 3-part split saves you from 2 extremes. You stop being the person who spends everything because you only live once, but you also refuse to become the person who treats every normal pleasure like a moral failure. Freedom is not built by hating your life. Freedom is built by making sure your life does not have to keep begging the next paycheck for permission. At 29, the lonely middle gets heavier. Your net worth is growing, but not in a way anyone can see. The market has good months and bad months. Your emergency fund reaches 6 months of basic expenses, then dips when your car needs repairs, then climbs again. Progress starts to feel repetitive. Payday, transfer, index fund, savings, side project, repeat. Meanwhile, Chris's life keeps looking brighter. He posts from a rooftop bar. He flies to Miami for a long weekend. He moves into a 2-bedroom apartment because he needs a home office, even though he works from the dining table most days. One Monday, he parks beside you and looks at your Mazda 3. He is not cruel. That almost makes it worse. He says, "You good, man? Like financially?" You say yes. He nods like he does not believe you. At lunch, 2 coworkers do not realize you are behind them. One says, "I feel bad for him. He works hard." The other says, "Maybe he sends money home or something." You say, "Nothing." You have more cash and investments than both of them combined. And you cannot say that without becoming the kind of person you are trying not to be. So you eat your lunch. You let them misunderstand. Nobody noticed. Chapter 8. The scoreboard starts fighting back. By 30, the temptation comes back hard. That is another thing people do not warn you about. Discipline does not make desire disappear. Sometimes, discipline makes desire louder, because now you know exactly what you are giving up. One night, after a bad week, you open a car app, just looking. That is what everyone says before the math gets dangerous. You find a newer model, clean interior, low mileage. Financing available. The monthly payment is technically possible. You imagine pulling into the parking lot. You imagine someone noticing. You imagine Chris looking over and realizing you were not behind after all. For 30 seconds, you want that feeling more than you want freedom. That is the honest part, because the rat race is not only financial, it is emotional. It sells you a way to be seen. And when you stop buying that visibility, you have to grieve it. You close the app, not because you are above it, because you finally understand the trade. The car would not only cost the payment, It would cost the future job you could turn down. It would cost the month you could take off if your sister needed help. It would cost the calm you have been building one boring transfer at a time. So you keep the Mazda 3. And 5 weeks later, the test arrives. Chapter 9. The Thursday that exposed everything. Thursday morning. Calendar invite. All hands meeting. No agenda. Everyone knows. By lunch, half the floor is carrying cardboard boxes. You and Chris both lose your jobs on the same day. Same severance. Same parking lot. Same stunned silence. For a few minutes, you feel the old fear in your throat. Then you open your accounts. Not to admire the balance. To measure the floor. Between emergency savings, severance, and lowered expenses, you have roughly 8 months of runway if you are careful. Chris has less than a month before the Tesla payment hits, rent follows, and the credit card balance he has been avoiding starts charging interest that feels less like a fee and more like a punishment. The Federal Reserve's consumer credit data has shown credit card interest rates sitting at historically painful levels in recent years, with average assessed rates above 20%. Exact rates vary by card and borrower. But the lesson is simple. When debt becomes your emergency fund, emergencies get more expensive. Chris applies everywhere. He has to. He takes the first offer that comes through, even though it pays less, and the manager sounds exactly like the kind of person he once promised he would never work for again. He tells everyone it is a strategic move. Maybe he even tells himself, you do something that looks worse. You move back into your parents' house for 4 months, 31 years old, old bedroom, same closet doors, same ceiling, crack above the bed. You cancel the trip you had finally planned. You sell the motorcycle you spent 2 years fixing on weekends. This is the lowest point. Not because you are broke, because you look broke. You did the responsible thing for 7 years and still ended up back in the room where you were 16. For the first time, the doubt becomes a full sentence. Maybe I was the idiot. Maybe I gave up the good years for a spreadsheet. Maybe everyone else understood something I missed. But you do not drain the fund to protect your image. You do not take on debt just to keep appearances alive. You accept temporary humiliation instead of permanent fragility. That is the moment your old relationship with money breaks. Before, money was proof. Now, money is optionality, the ability to wait, the ability to say no, the ability to choose a slower, less impressive move because it keeps the future intact. 4 months later, you accept a new role. It pays more than the job you lost, but that is not even the biggest change. The biggest change is that you chose it. You turned down 2 offers first. One was a lateral move with prettier branding. One had a manager who smiled too hard when you asked about turnover. You could afford to listen to the warning in your body. Chris could not. That is what the invisible years bought you. Not early retirement, not a mansion, not a life without work. They bought the right to not make desperate decisions. Chapter 10. The moment money became time. A few months into the new job, you open your investment account on a Sunday night. No special reason. You just have not looked in a while. The number catches you. Last month, the portfolio grew by more than your regular monthly contribution. Not because you worked overtime. Not because you flipped an extra desk. Not because your boss approved anything. Your money made money without you. That is the tipping point. It is not a specific number. It is a ratio. The moment your assets begin doing visible work beside you, this is the part of building wealth that sounds fake until you see it in your own account. For years, compounding feels like watching paint dry. Then one day you realize the wall has changed color. Fidelity's fourth quarter 2025 retirement analysis, covering tens of millions of workplace and IRA accounts, showed average 401k balances rising over the previous year and long-term savers with much higher balances than casual participants. That does not mean everyone gets the same result. Markets move, jobs change, life interrupts. But the pattern is hard to ignore. People who keep money invested through ordinary years give time something to work with. The quiet decisions compound. The loud purchases depreciate. Not every purchase is bad. Not every investment is wise. But if your income only buys things that need your next paycheck to survive, then your life never builds a floor. At 33, the floor gets tested again. Your older sister calls on a Tuesday night. Your dad is in the hospital 2 states away. They do not know exactly what is happening yet. You book the next flight. Not the cheapest flight with a 12-hour layover. The next flight, You reserve a hotel near the hospital for 5 nights and extend it twice. You order food for your sister. You pay for a rental car. You sit in a waiting room under lights that make everyone look tired and tell her you are staying as long as she needs. You do not check your account before doing any of it. That is when you finally understand what the money was for, not the number, not the chart, not the little private pride of watching your net worth rise. The ability to be fully present when life stops being theoretical. The money handled every problem money could handle, so your attention could go where money could not. That is freedom in its least glamorous and most valuable form. Chapter 11. The Race Without an Audience. Now we are back on your couch. Chris is 34. He looks older than you remember, though maybe you do too. He talks around the real subject for 10 minutes. Work has been weird. And rent is up. The car needed repairs. Credit card got away from him for a bit. He is not irresponsible. He is tired. He is living inside a system that rewards visible progress and punishes quiet preparation until the exact moment quiet preparation is the only thing that matters. Then he asks, $2,700. Short term, just to get through the month. You say yes. And as you send the transfer, you think about the birthday dinner where you felt small, the coworkers who pitied you, the car app you almost opened too far, the old bedroom where you thought you had lost, the Thursday layoff that revealed the difference between a lifestyle and a floor. For 10 years, nobody noticed you were leaving the race. Not because you were hiding some genius strategy, because leaving the race does not look like leaving at first. It looks like staying in the old apartment. It looks like reading a benefits email. It looks like bringing lunch. It looks like saying no without turning your no into a personality. It looks like building a side income after work when nobody is filming the montage. It looks like moving home for a few months instead of borrowing money to impress people who are not even paying attention. Here is the framework, plain and usable. First, identify the visible scoreboard you are trying to win. Is it the car, the apartment, the vacation photos, the title, the version of success that only works if other people notice? Second, build the invisible floor before the visible upgrade. Emergency savings first. Employer match, if you have access to one. High-interest debt treated like a leak in the hull. Automatic investing when your basics are stable. Simple, boring, repeated. Third, buyback options before you buy status. Options mean months of runway. Transferable skills. 2. A side income you understand. Lower fixed expenses. The ability to leave a bad boss, wait for a better role, fly home during a family emergency, or sleep through a recession without every headline feeling personal. Fourth, protect a few things that make life worth living now. A plan that requires you to hate your present life will eventually make you sabotage your future one. Keep the dinners that matter. Keep the hobbies that actually restore you. Cut the spending that only performs success for people who forget by tomorrow. And fifth, remember that this is not a moral ranking. Some people are buried by medical bills, caregiving, layoffs, rent, or wages that simply do not stretch far enough. Personal finance is personal because circumstances are not evenly distributed. The point is not to call everyone on the edge foolish. The point is to ask a sharper question. Chapter 12. The upgrade you should not buy yet. Where do I have control? And am I using it to buy freedom or to buy evidence? That question changes the game. So here is my challenge for you this week. Find one upgrade trying to present itself as deserved. Do not automatically reject it. Just interrogate it. Ask, will this make my life meaningfully better, or will it only make my progress easier to photograph? Ask, if I redirected this money for 12 months, what floor would it build? Ask, if a layoff, medical bill, or family emergency arrived on an ordinary Thursday, would the floor hold? Comment with one visible upgrade you are willing to delay for 90 days, and what invisible floor you would rather build with that money. Not forever. 90 days. Long enough to prove to yourself that you can choose. And if this story helped you see money differently, subscribe. This channel is about the quiet, unglamorous decisions that turn income into options. Chris leaves a little after 10. You stand in the kitchen and rinse the mugs. There is no victory music. No one outside knows what just happened, but you know. You know that the race did not end when you became rich. You are not even sure you would use that word. The race ended when you stopped running for people who were never really watching, Maybe you are already on that path. Maybe you are still standing near the edge, telling yourself you are fine because everyone else looks fine too. Maybe tonight is the night you open the account, write down the number, circle the date, and begin feeding the future in a way nobody else can see. If nobody notices, do not mistake that for failure. That is how the escape usually begins.